No more fucking around. It's Wylde Style Radio. Wylde Style Radio.
What is up? And welcome to the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. We're coming to you live from Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia, fueled by Monster Energy.
Yes,
What's up,
sir.
man?
Happy October to you.
Happy October. It is
I know.
October.
I know. And we have a First Friday coming up here tomorrow.
Night. Yep.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night.
To get excited about that, because I am excited about that.
Yeah, it's been a couple months since we've been to one.
I know.
So looking forward to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Junk food's playing.
Junk food.
Mm-hmm.
Get your snack on.
Exactly. It's a fun party band.
Yeah. So a couple weeks since we've been on live. What you been up to?
So I saw the Kings of Leon in the last 2 weeks. You know, kind of like a southern rock, alt rock blend. Of course, Sex on Fire. Like I think everybody knows that song. Yep. If you didn't know who it was, like it was those guys. They were solid, man. It was one of the better shows I've seen all year. Yeah.
And John asked me when I got here. He's like, "What shows have you been to since the last time?" I'm like, "None."
Yeah, I know.
I said, "But Jeff has, so he can give you the reviews."
So the bend on that, which is a little weird, is that Phantogram opened, and that's a electronic band, right? And it was, I guess, trying to mix audiences. Maybe that was the promotion strategy, behind that. And I liked them better than I thought. I'm usually not an electronic music guy, but that was better than I thought it was going to be. Thank you for moving my
pink cup.
That's a pink cup. It's salmon, John.
Salmon.
It's salmon.
The Sandman.
That's what at least I was told when I ordered it. I thought it was red, and then I think it did. Come in pink.
Yeah.
That's Amazon for you.
I saw you were at Merriweather this weekend.
Yes.
Are our stickers still there?
The stickers are not there.
Well,
See ya.
Time to go again.
I know. Yeah. So it was a nice night in Merriweather.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so raining. Yeah. And
that's typical for when we go to Merriweather.
Exactly. So oh my gosh, who was I? Why did I blank out? Who did I see? I'm losing my mind.
Some country guy.
I was gonna say
I can't help you.
I know. Oh, and it wasn't a country guy. It was Nathaniel Ratliff.
Oh,
what am I thinking?
Yeah, I helped you.
I mean, it's kind of, to me, I would say that still leans on like a country rock kind of edge. I feel like it's kind of more of a Van Morrison feel, almost like a throwback, older, early 70s kind of sound. Son of a Bitch is probably his biggest song, that hit the radio. That was, of course, what he closes with. But there was a lot of upbeat music on that one.
Sure.
That was a good sold-out show, too, that night. It was good to get, back out, after all the rain.
Right.
I will say that.
But all that changes for me next Saturday because we're going to see Dirty Honey.
I know. The band of bands that, we have been enamored with over the past couple years.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Stoked.
I
I didn't get to see them when they were here last year.
You did not go there. That was the album release also.
I know.
Yeah. That was a strong show.
Yep. But Charlestown, so it'll be an intimate.
We won't find
venue.
the breaks.
We will not.
Do you like that place? You like the Charlestown venue?
I was, when we went to see Extreme and Living Color, I was not a fan because of the
seating?
reserve seating.
Yeah, and there's a lot of confusion with the numbering.
Yep, and a smaller venue, very surprisingly small. Because I've been to the MGM or not MGM. And that theater is it's not huge, but, it had a lot more size. So I was surprised, when we went there. But then when we went to see Buck Cherry, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
In a general admission setting, that worked.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what this is going to be. So
I thought it was it was really kind of good views everywhere you were inside of that general admin venue.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the bar will be close by. So it'll be a good time.
That's another good thing about that place. They've learned to put the bar, because that wasn't true of Extreme and Living Color.
Well, I think they couldn't with the amount of seats they were cramming in there.
Sure.
So
yeah.
But I guess that was Extreme's deal. They wanted reserve seating.
Yes.
I suppose the band is dictating that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Their audience is getting older. They need seats.
Well, a lot of them were sitting the whole time until they played More Than Words.
Yes.
That was when we sat down.
And we sat, and then like we saw some grown men crying on that one.
Yeah, that was.
And I'm not making that up.
That was
That's not an
embarrassing.
exaggeration. That was not an exaggeration. They were grown men crying. Like, I mean, like you're saying old people there, Lou. I'm talking like some old grown men crying.
No, I'll believe it.
A little more than words got to them.
Yeah.
I don't know why they'd be crying, but I believe that it happened.
Yeah.
They live in their youth, I guess.
I was fascinated.
Reminiscing a broken heart, I suppose.
I think I probably watched them more than the band at that point because I was just wondering, like, what
Well,
was.
maybe it was the guy that was busting ass the whole night that was
bad.
causing the tears.
That was a bad night with that. That was. There was somebody that was rotten, like, in and around us at that show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got some cool stuff tonight, but kind of speaking of live shows, obviously we've got a lot on the schedule here at the Salisbury Center. So run down a couple shows. October 27th
We
is
do?
That's what it says here. October 27th, Halloween Metal Fest with Kill the King, Black River Blood Fest or Bloodbath, The Plan, and Consequence, and the Exchange Project. Then Doc Martin and the Flannels, 90 Tribute Band,
Nice.
going to be here on November 27th.
Awesome.
This isn't really within our show, but the Taylor Nation is also coming.
Taylor Nation.
November 30th.
Yeah.
So, and then on December 2nd, the Hers Collective.
Yeah.
So, some good stuff as we're heading into the holiday seasons.
Right.
We also just brought somebody on today that used to book bands back in the day, 16 years ago before he moved to L.A., and now he's back.
Oh.
So he has some connections with comedy and with some other bands that are in the rock and EDM genres.
Excellent.
So he's going to be trying to do some of that. And, in fact, I think he's going to do, like, some live music karaoke stuff. And,
Cool.
Something like they used to do at the Black Cat with, like, a Danzig cover would be covering something else besides Danzig, like doing a Danzig style.
Right. Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Changing styles with the song.
Yeah, like
like a Danzig and a
Danzig
Taylor
doing
Swift
The
song.
Cure or something like that.
Sure.
You know?
So, kind of like the Metallica album, the Black Album tribute, where like Chris Stapleton did one of the songs.
Right.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be
so
cool.
we'll see how it goes, but sounds exciting. Dude was cool, and apparently he used to book a lot of stuff in Herndon, Fairfax, Woodbridge. That old place out in Woodbridge. There was the pool hall that had bands. So we'll see.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
All righty.
All right. So,
In fact, he used to book Age of Ruin as well,
all right.
Oh,
and he's not that old.
We know that band. All right.
we want to hit it?
We're getting into the Halloween spirit tonight.
That's right.
So you and I were talking, and we were talking, of course, we were talking playlists, the upcoming Halloween holiday, and then we went back and forth pretty quickly and decided that we are going to talk tonight about songs that we would recommend for any Halloween playlist.
Yeah, and we did this 4th of July, so it was a 4th of July theme.
We did it for Christmas last December.
And we did for Christmas. So this was much harder than I thought it was going to be because there's actually a ton of great Halloween themed tunes.
That's what I was going to ask you about. So I feel like what I ran into this is like, how did you define a Halloween hard rock and metal song? Like what criteria did you use?
So to me, it's more like it doesn't have to. There's some that will be on my list that are definitely Halloween themed, but also plenty that are just kind of a macabre type
Right.
sentiment.
Right. To me, like metal is born out of this holiday.
Absolutely.
So, right. In terms of narrowing down songs to just
It was
10.
very hard.
Right. Right. Now, I almost feel like that this could be extended into another conversation.
An everyday playlist.
Yeah. Yeah. Because there is just a lot of darkness, for lack of better words, in a lot of hard rock and metal that might not be Halloween, right? That just might be, I think, a lot of angst, in other words, or,
Well, it's sort of how metal
Anger, right.
came out of the music style,
yes.
and particularly the more heavier stuff, just the themes within the lyrics and the music. So,
And that was something that I came across because we've talked about this in other conversations, how metal is metal how pure is that metal, and you can get really intense, I feel like, especially in a Halloween conversation, because some of the songs, I know that some of the songs that I could pick might not be badass enough for like a hardcore fan.
Sure.
Which might not be badass enough for a doom metal fan, which might not be badass enough for a Swedish death metal fan, and that hierarchy that somehow forms in those conversations.
So I'm sure, folks that watch this, because I was like, almost started to go down the death metal hole, and I'm like, that would be every song.
Right, exactly, right.
So
Which to me might not be Halloween. That's just right, the anger that's inside of those songs.
Yep. So I'm sure, we would certainly love opinion on our recommendations. And whether you agree with it or not. And
you just listed a lot of hardcore bands. I was thinking about that as like a follow-up. If we ever have any conversations and interviews with those bands, we can bring this all back up again because they're going to have their take on it according to their tastes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
So what about this? You're talking about the metal and all that.
Yeah.
Someone that I don't think that necessarily is metal. They're definitely rock, but are definitely all Halloween. Alice Cooper.
Right.
How does he fit in? Yeah, stuff like that.
That's a great philosophical question. So I will say, though, that's how I kind of gauge my list and my criteria, was thinking of the spirit of Halloween and the kind of traditional ghouls, ghosts, goblins, and creepy feelings, But then also, to me, there's another side to Halloween, which is a party side of Halloween.
Right.
And it is kind of festive. And if you think of, I don't know, the movie Mean Girls, I remember Lindsay Lohan went to the Halloween party dressed as like a scary Bride of Frankenstein, but then every other girl was dressed in like the slutty outfits because it was, a sexual, kind of expression for them, where she was in the scary expression and then she was kind of the outcast girl because of it. So in other words, people do celebrate Halloween that way. So that could be found in the music also.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of that on a couple of the songs I selected.
Right.
But it's like, you're not going to break out the Cannibal Corpse at a party. And
exactly. So that's why I didn't go down the death metal road. And I'm glad you brought up that band in particular, because you could even just break out the album covers, not even the song,
for sure,
and hang them on the walls. And have
no doubt.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, yeah.
All right. So
we were in. I figured we would be in lockstep about that. If you're listening and you're a death metal guy, you might not be in lockstep with that, but that's okay, because as you were saying, Kevin, pretty much any song, and especially like a Norwegian death metal experience, is going to be an angry Halloween song. Yep. Yeah.
So we each selected 10 recommendations to add to your Halloween party metal playlist.
I like you threw in the word party. That's important. All right. Look, John just threw up my first pick, my number one pick. Do you also have that? Do you have that as number one? That's pretty funny.
Well, I did try to do this in reverse order.
Okay,
so this would be my number 10.
Okay, I don't have an order.
Well, that's fine too.
That's interesting that you established an order. Yeah. I would have struggled with an order, but we both came up. I would not say this is my number one.
Right.
But there's a reason I started here, but I'll shut up. I'll let you go since you flipped.
No, this is my first, number 10, I guess we could say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're the originators.
Exactly.
They are, the tone, the gloominess in this particular song, the title track off of their first album,
right,
is, I think, what is heavy metal.
Black Sabbath. So right, the first song off the first Black Sabbath album. I feel like Ozzy, I've seen not one, but multiple interviews with Ozzy Osbourne where, when Black Sabbath was starting, they were looking for sound that sounded like a horror movie. And they didn't find that was out there in a lot of rock music at the time in the late 60s. So that's what they were looking for. They were looking literally for a horror movie sound. So how can you not match that with Halloween? And of course, that iconic riff that starts off the song, which is the devil's riff, as the devil's riff could ever sound, with Tony Iommi's, style of playing it on top of it. It's just, I think everything starts there. Like metal starts there. Like
sure.
A lot of music critics will start the birth of metal, not only with this album, but with this song. So I think it starts all the Halloween conversation and all the Halloween hard rock and great tunes that are out there.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's why we both have it.
I was wondering, Kevin, how much we were going to be in lockstep with this, but I think I'm going to deviate from time to time. But it's interesting that we started with a classic. And by the way, like, how about the album cover? Like, we were talking about the Cannibal Corpse album cover, but that's pretty damn haunting too. And there's a lot of mythology about the album cover, you know?
For sure. Well, and, you know, it harkens back to the days of when album covers mattered. Because it was that artwork. It's what appealed to you when you went to the record store to buy a record or an album.
Right.
You know, and a lot of what I have on my list is very nostalgic to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is in and around the album covers.
Sure. I mean, that album cover looks like Halloween, period. Like, if you asked me what time of year that would be late October. Without even like commenting on the creepiness that's all around it. Yeah. Very cool. All right, Kevin, you want to go next?
Sure, I'll go next.
And we were looking, I'll see if I can lock
So in the Halloween theme, I had Halloween.
All right.
Halloween.
Uh-huh.
Which also, there's another tune that I kind of wavered on, which was Merciful Fate's Halloween.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, those of us that grew up with the Headbangers Ball can remember this. It's off of the album Keeper of the Seven Keys, Part 1.
Yes.
And it's 13 minutes long.
Uh-huh.
So
I'm driving poor John crazy because he just flashed up one of my choices. But since you were talking about Halloween, I have this on my list too. So I think that, like, if you look at a lot of lists, I think our first choice, Black Sabbath, would be in like other lists that you can find online and in other places. And you might find this song. But I think this band, like you're bringing up, we haven't talked about a lot of European metal. This is a German band.
German band,
yes. And this is a German band that obviously was around a little while ago, but I feel like they're defined by the song, at least in the United States. I think they've had a lot of European success, but as in terms of their most popular song in the U.S., it would be this one. And I'll go not only outside of that. I feel like I started picking songs that had wider impact than even the song itself.
Sure.
And so you brought up the Headbangers Ball and the video. And the video is just like Halloween, just threw up like all over the video. And so it became, the video to me is just as iconic as the song itself.
It's certainly iconic, and you rarely saw it like in a regular rotation. You know, like this song and this album came out in 1987. So it was kind of at the peak, I would say, of metal. But because it's 13 minutes long, MTV was generally not going to play it.
Yes.
It was Headbangers Ball almost exclusive.
And even the late night section of Headbangers Ball, because Headbangers Ball ran from midnight to 3 a.m. So it was in the 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. block.
Usually, always.
Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff there.
Oh, yeah. Which a lot of stuff started there. So that was same with Welcome to the Jungle. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That ran in the 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. block at first because
and
that
was interesting talking about that on the Nothing But a Good Time documentary how they broke that, because MTV's like, we're not sure and they're like, just play it like middle of the night.
Yep. And then we were the ones,
that was us.
Nerding out watching it from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m.
No doubt.
That song was awesome. All right. I'm going to go. You want me to go?
You can go.
I'm going to guess that you have this one too. And again, like, I even had a hard time with this song. And John, if you were there, I'm there now with the Am I Evil? Now, I struggled with this. Like, who do you give credit to this song to? Because this is a King Timon song, actually. I put Metallica with it because I was introduced to it as a Metallica cover on the B-side of Creeping Death. And I believe I don't know if it was an EP, but at least the single on tape for Creeping Death, because it had this B-side on it. And that was where I was first exposed to it before it was put on this album of Garage Incorporated.
Yeah. And Metallica, I mean, they made I won't say a name for themselves, but they generally did that with their single releases, the B-side. And so for those of you that are much younger than us, the B-side was, that single was a 7-inch, a 45, and you flipped it over. And usually it was a bonus song, and a lot of times it was another song off the same album.
Right.
But Metallica, usually did covers.
Yes.
Of other tunes. And so, I mean, there's some great B-sides that they released. They covered Stone Cold Crazy, Bread Fan, a lot of old punk bands. And so, I would say, obviously, Diamond Head originally recorded that song, but Metallica made that song, in my opinion.
Right. And it became iconic to the whole thrash movement when the big four of thrash had gotten together and played this live more recently. So that would be Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Anthrax. I even think Testament might have gotten up there going outside of the big four at one point or another, because to me, they're the unofficial fifth member of the big four.
4B.
Right,
the big 4.5.
Right. That this is what they play. They always go back to this song. But I mean, the song itself is about, someone who watches his mother get burned alive, whether she was a witch or accused of being a witch. You never know. They don't really truly define it, but he watched it's from the vantage point of someone that had to go through that experience. Sure. So, and of course he embraces the rebellion because he hates the world because they just did that to his mom. So it has that creepy, scary feel to it for sure. But again, widespread. Like, that's why I like my choices. I tried to have broader impact than, of course, this is a good Halloween song because a lot of metal songs are like that. But then it has broad impact in the thrash metal movement specifically.
And I did not have this on my list.
I am stunned. I thought you would have that for sure.
I had.
All right.
We were talking about Alice Cooper.
Uh-huh.
And there's a ton of Alice Cooper tunes that you could choose that are Halloween themed. There's Feed My Frankenstein, The Man Behind the Mask, which was on the Friday the 13th, I think, part 5 video movie soundtrack, which I actually saw right in this building.
Awesome.
And it was a movie theater. But,
awesome.
But I had to go back to the original. Welcome to My Nightmare off of his first album.
Look, brother. Look, I got that on my list too. And so, and then Lou, you were asking about that. What do you do with Alice Cooper? I still consider him hard rock, if not metal. So like that is, and he was beginning before metal was being called metal. So that's, I can jump on that bandwagon pretty quickly and give love to Alice Cooper. The other thing I love about Alice Cooper is he's touring right now at an advanced age and is killing it. Not just touring and saying like, oh, that's cute. Glad the old man can do it. Like he is.
It's all that golf with Damon that's keeping him going.
The other thing that I'll point out about this song, again, like the reason to put it not only in a playlist, but to go back to the videos again. I think we're like talking a lot about video now tonight. Sure. This is just a bizarre video. It is.
Can you explain to all the Gen Z what a video is?
So when you go to YouTube, and you look up Welcome to My Nightmare for Alice Cooper, you're going to see the video that's associated with it. But there is just weird shit happening throughout the video.
Oh, yeah.
Without CGI, right? I mean, this is the early 70s. There are burlesque / cabaret dancers that are in it that are in all kinds of surreal attire. I think Salvador Dali was probably still alive at this time, and he had connections with Alice Cooper. So I'm going to guess that there was some influence on that video production, in this one that made it an off-the-wall video experience. I feel like not even only back then, but still to this day.
And I'm sure there was some substances that were part of that as well.
Right. So I think, again, like being iconic, I started here, Kevin, like you're kind of in my first 3, and I almost started, I feel like, with my songs chronologically, going from older songs that almost set the tone, to where we are now. And so that's where this is up there on my list too. So I was right there with you in lockstep on the Welcome to My Nightmare. Right. So that's why I jumped in with you on that.
Is this the video right here, or is this just like a live version of it?
That is a live performance.
A live performance,
yes. Yeah. Which there's going to be some bizarre shit happening there too. It's not necessarily
it does. The stage show presentation of this song is almost the same. A lot of the same imagery
draws from
there.
The video.
Yeah, for sure.
Was that also Kip Winger in there?
That might have been.
That could have been.
I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
playing bass. Kip Winger playing bass. He did that for a number of years for Alice Cooper.
He did.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go next.
All right.
So another band that probably could have a bunch of Halloween or theme songs. This kind of goes in the vein of thrash and death metal we were talking about. Slayer.
Oh, nice.
Dead Skin Mask.
Yes.
So Raining Blood.
You just start with the title.
Yep.
Dead Skin Mask.
Absolutely. Because the song is about Ed Gein, who was a serial killer, who, when he found his victims, would physically skin them and then wear their body parts on him.
Right.
So,
a la Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this is a great video too. Very dark imagery. Tom Araya's vocals on this song are very evil sounding.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You did not go down like the slutty party mode of Halloween for this song. You stuck to the tried and true creeping death version of
correct.
Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what Halloween's about, right?
Sure thing. Good call. I do not have any Slayer, so I can make that reveal now. So like I'm glad you covered that ground. All right, I went a little bit different direction, and this one's somewhat like, to me, like a buried little kind of nugget of Halloween that I love going back to, a movie that I love about Halloween. And this is After Midnight by Fastway.
By Eric Clapton.
Yeah, they're not going to let it all hang out. Yes, so Fastway we haven't talked about too much. Nope. Like kind of an early 80s great hard rock band with bitchin' vocals.
Yep.
Just a bitchin' set of vocals like in all of their songs. They did the entire soundtrack for the movie Trick or Treat. I believe the movie Trick or Treat was from the 1986. There's probably a lot of versions of a movie called Trick or Treat. After Midnight was probably the biggest song that was released as a part of that soundtrack, and it has a video for it also. But I got to, not only make a plug for the song, but again, like having like kind of like broader reach, but the movie. So like if you're looking for a Halloween movie, and movies like Metal can get kind of crazy too, right? Yep. Like there's gore fest, torture porn type of movies. This is not that type of movie. There's also like Hotel Transylvania, which will be your kids' movie, right? This kind of like falls somewhere in the middle of all of that. The premise is that, there's a rock star that's out there that mysteriously died from purposes of mayhem. I don't know if he was too hard partying, don't know what he got into, but there were definitely some evil acts and he was practicing maybe some occult himself, but his spirit exists in electronics and still kind of floating around, hovering as a ghost in the world. And of course, a put out, mistreating, misfit high school kid. Metalhead, yes, comes across the lore and logo and becomes a hyper fan, of this dead rock star and is able to conjure him. And when he conjures him to, from the grave, he I guess he puts himself out through electronics that are out there, from the electronic devices that will look ancient, in this day and age watching this movie, but feels like the internet, right? Like he's able to kind of jump from electronic device to electronic device and cause mayhem through the ghost that was released by this kid. And it's kind of goofy and quirky and maybe a B-rated movie, so to speak, but damn, is it
Definitely.
fun.
It's
a
a
lot
great
of fun
movie
for Halloween.
As a matter of fact, my second choice.
Oh, look at that.
Number 2 choice at the top of my list is the title track. So yeah, this was their 4th album, and Dave King is the vocalist that you were referencing.
Yes.
Which this was also the last album he was part of the band on. But yeah, and Gene Simmons has a cameo in this movie as well.
And Ozzy does also.
Yes, Ozzy, yep, that's right.
Yeah, Gene and Ozzy are both in that movie.
Yep, excellent movie.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, now's the time to watch it.
All right, look at that. We were on the kind of same link. I didn't know if you would remember that movie or not. Did we see that?
I
know I saw it.
We definitely saw it.
I was going to say, I know you. Yeah.
I saw it on, I think, HBO the first time I saw it.
We probably saw it at the midnight movies.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Okay, want me to go again?
Sure, why not?
Okay, I'm going to really step out of the box on this one. And our producer, one of our producers, Scott, would love me on this one. I'm going emo. I went way out of the box on this one.
At least we know what emo is now.
Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance.
All right.
I think this is kind of an epic, cool song. Feels a little bit like, not that it's the same as Bohemian Rhapsody, but its structure, where it changes time signatures and key signatures a lot, through the song. But it's definitely, a song of being disaffected, and takes a dark turn on what would be a kind of classic. You mentioned 4th of July holiday parade. And, as I guess the vocalist, or I guess probably not like the singer, but whoever is going to be the narrator of this song is trying to assimilate himself in the horrors of the everyday black parade that's out there in life. All right. Yeah.
Well, and you know me, I'm not going to stray too far out of my wheelhouse. So my next one.
Love it. Of course, I love it.
we're shouting at the devil. We're not shouting with the devil.
I love it. I love that you said that too. So I don't have that on my list, shockingly enough. That's one of my honorary mentions. If I would have gone to 12, that would definitely be there.
Hey, old school.
It's a strong song.
Yep.
I had wrestled with it. And so how much, how much you get into the Halloween songs about ghouls and goblins versus the occult?
Oh, yeah.
Which is like, this was the height of the devil worshiping fear in heavy metal in the 80s.
Yeah, Tipper and her bandits were running rampant.
Right. And Motley really played on that. And I remember even Alice Cooper commenting on that this is the, kind of the time of devils. There were devils running around everywhere and like in every song that you could possibly, kind of conjure up.
You had Dio and Ozzy and
But that's a song to me of rebellion,
Absolutely.
It's not necessarily a song. And that was the misinterpretation, right? Of like embracing the devil. That was actually rebelling against any devil that you have in your life.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, the devil theme, it's a good party tune as well.
It is a great party tune. As any Motley tune, like how can they not be party tunes? Every one of them. Way to be festive there, Kevin. All right. I'm going to step way outside of the box on this one. I think this is my furthest step outside of the box. And I'm going with indie rock on this one. And there's also another reason. I just love this album to death. It's one of my top 10 favorite albums of all time. And it's probably a topic that we should have in future conversation. We talked about 1984, but we should talk about 1994. So this is a 30-year-old song by a great, great band, and it's Spinal Meningitis by Ween. All right? Like I could see Lou, the stun on Lou.
Oh, yeah. I can't believe you went with that over Shout at the Devil, but
because I was intentionally going outside of the box for that 1994 reason. So I will also say that like the
Halloween Cruise from Hell.
The Halloween Cruise. That is a good point. That's a damn good point, which was probably 30 years ago. Yeah. I think that was with Chocolate and Cheese, which is the album this came from. So first of all, I feel like the tone of the song is creepy. So the melody lines are creepy. It's got a spidery kind of webby guitar riff feel to it. And it's written from the vantage point, and they even bend their vocals to make it sound like a kid in fear in the hospital, being hospitalized from spinal meningitis, which is a very serious topic. And of course, like that's horror and horrible in real life for a lot of people. But the thing about Ween is they're like 15-year-old kids that somehow can take a comedic
on acid.
Can take a comedic approach to that topic and make it somehow lighthearted, which is a fine line to dance. And they do that on a lot of topics, not just this one. So I think it's a fun Halloween song, as crazy as that sounds. In terms of, I don't know if there's another song that came to mind that almost made the list too, in terms of fear of surgery, which is like a legit fear, kind of deal. And I went with this one because, again, I love me some Ween. We haven't talked about Ween enough. And same with Fastway. We didn't talk about Fastway enough either. So, again, I was thinking if you may have had some other traditional songs like Black Sabbath on your list, you probably didn't have this one, but you should listen to this album. Ween is also, to me, love-hate. Like, I feel like people, you either listen to Ween and love it or you hate it. There's no people that are kind of like, they're all right.
Like the Brischettis?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a lot of people. There's a lot of people I know that I can't believe you listen to that shit. They'll literally say that to me. Then the opposite people are like, that's just the most fucking amazing thing I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. So one of our old roommates there, Mr. Salisbury, I remember playing this song to him for the first time when he first heard it. And he was hospitalized with spinal meningitis at one point in his life. And he was stunned. I remember like the first time he didn't know whether to laugh or he didn't know whether to like be horrified or like be shocked. And then like at the end of it, he thought it was like the best song he ever heard.
What is spinal meningitis? Is that like you're in a wheelchair? Or you're just...
It can be.
Okay.
It depends. It's basically an infection of your spinal fluid. So it depends on how severe that infection becomes.
And viral or bacterial.
It can be viral or bacterial, but it's an infection of your spinal fluid. So it can be crippling, because of it.
Okay.
And teenagers, a lot of teenagers get it because they share fluids and stuff because they're like you can get it from sharing cups and things like that.
Right.
So that's why it's more dangerous for teenagers.
There was a rumor, I feel like at the time, this was also to me like at the peak of rave culture, that if you did a lot of ecstasy, you were susceptible to spinal meningitis. So I think it was more talked about because of that, experience in that community. But I think it's been disproven since that ecstasy is, I don't know, I'm not a, medical expert or pharmaceutical, knowledge base. So don't quote me.
You don't
disclaimer.
dabble in pharmaceuticals.
Exactly. Yes, don't quote me on that one, but that's what I've since at least read.
We may have to fact check you, just like the debates.
Exactly. Hey, look, I'm admitting to it. So.
Well, I went with a much more Halloween theme, and you can't have Halloween without Rob Zombie. So Dragula.
All right. Rob Zombie.
Again, Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie.
All right.
Freaks on Tour.
Right.
And there's the video. It's fucking awesome.
It is. So I know. And of course I have Rob Zombie, and I'll do my Rob Zombie reveal right now too. But how can you not? I mean, feel like anything that Rob Zombie puts out beautifully matches Halloween.
Yep.
I had on this list, I don't know, probably till about an hour ago, Living Dead Girl. I wanted to really go with Living Dead Girl, and I just think that's a fun, Dragula's a great party song. I think that's a good party song too. I feel like I went even more down the party song road, and I was also thinking of our buddy who we were talking about. So I went Dead City Radio and the New Gods of Supertown, because I really like, again, the video. It is a carnival kind of feel, and it's it's got a good almost rhythmic dance beat to it, even though it still has the heavy distortion of Rob Zombie. But I love John 5 in this video. That's why I was, thinking of like Motley Crue.
Right.
We were talking about that before the show started, the residency it's coming up for them in Las Vegas. And John 5 being in Motley Crue to me still feels a little awkward. It still feels like he should be with Rob Zombie.
Yep.
And he is featured in this video so well. And I watched the video again, which may have biased me. I was like, damn, John 5 looks cool. So it's not even about Rob Zombie at this point. It's also about John 5. And I just love the party feel of the video and also the party feel of the song. So that was my Rob Zombie entry.
Sweet.
Dragula was on my list too. And like you said, like which one do you roll with?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You going? Me going.
I'm looking, I'm seeing, I only have one left.
I got a couple. So then
I know, because I was jumping on, I was piggybacking with you.
Yep. Well, this one is definitely a Halloween theme.
That's cool.
And it's Typo Negative, Black Number 1.
Yeah.
Got some Nosferatu, some witches, some necrophiliac in it. It's, pretty morbid. The band, very goth. Peter Steele's vocals on everything he does is just
sounds like Halloween.
Eerie.
Yes.
And, this song is just great. And this is one of the first tunes I heard from them that I was like, wow, these guys are really good.
Absolutely. Yeah. Too bad they're not touring anymore. Too bad they're not around. And
would have to do something like Linkin Park.
Yeah, exactly.
They would need a new vocalist.
Yeah, and that would be, talk about a tough vocalist to replace.
Yep. And now here's this video. The video is phenomenal. But so those of you, go check out YouTube and look up some of these.
I feel like there's still a pretty strong influence on a lot of different types of metal that are out now.
For sure. Absolutely.
They've had a great legacy. Even though they may not have had maybe a commercial popularity of a lot of other bands and then around their time.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of the videos, particularly the ones of the songs I've chosen. Choices.
You got a black frame around all of your
That's
choices.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I guess I'll go again. And of course, you cannot have Halloween. We've already had him with Black Sabbath, but with Ozzy.
So yeah,
Bark at the Moon.
Right. So I had this song again on my short list. It hit the cutting room floor. Right.
Yeah.
The only reason I pulled the Ozzy song off was because I already mentioned Ozzy with Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my.
Oh, I couldn't do that. The video for this is great too. It's very, very Halloween-esque. Ozzy's dressed up as something. I don't know what that is.
Jekyll Hyde.
Jekyll Hyde.
That was supposed to be the Hyde. That's a very monstrous interpretation of Mr. Hyde. You don't see that in a lot of classic versions of Mr. Hyde.
And this was the introduction of Jake E. Lee.
I know. And there's of course the writing credit controversy over this song.
Yes,
because Jake wants that. He wants, and it does feel like Jake. There's a different stylistic approach to this song and this album than a lot of the other Ozzy Osbourne albums.
The other interesting piece that when I was reading about this again is that Tommy Aldridge played on this album, but didn't do the video or tour with them initially.
Right.
It was Carmen Appice.
Oh,
And then they fired him. And there's a quote from Ozzy where he's like, well, why is Tommy back in the band? He's like, well, I was just had this Carmen was ill.
Right.
And they're like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I was sick of playing with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
they got rid of him and brought Tommy Aldridge back.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
classic
Good call,
Ozzy.
Kevin. It was there. It was there for me. All right. I'm going to do my final. I'm gonna gamble that you probably have it. I had to go with Number of the Beast with Iron Maiden.
That one fell off my list.
Oh, so that hit your cutting room floor.
Yes.
Man, this song scared the living shit out of me when I was younger. When I was preteen, I got a hold of this album, and I mean, so it is kind of a personal choice. It is obviously in the era of devils, as we were talking about, and I just thought that the devil was going to come up through the floor if I listened to this song too many times. It is just a bitchin' riff, and I love the intro for the vocals with Bruce Dickinson and the scream that he hits, the scream of horror to like ignite that song, and it brings in just excellent Maiden, and probably one of my favorite Maiden tunes to this day that I listen to over and over again.
Yep.
And nothing feels to me still, and if I just think of something scary, I'm thinking of the beast being conjured in my own home.
Sure.
This would be playing as he was blasting up through the floor.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Great tune.
Yeah.
My last one is a classic, and it's Halloween. It's got a little party theme to it, but it's also, in my opinion, one of the most iconic movie songs that had a video.
You have me hanging now, Kevin. The movie threw it.
We're rocking with Dokken and Dream Warriors.
That's awesome.
So
I'm such a big Dokken fan. Like, I can't believe that one just never came across my. I don't know. Now you're making me rethink everything.
I mean, legit it, right?
Right.
That was the intro of the Mr. Scary guitar,
Right.
and
Patricia Arquette is in this video.
Patricia Arquette. Yep.
Like, how about that? It was probably one of her first acting experience. I mean, she's like a teenager in this video. Yeah.
So it's a great mixture. The video is phenomenal because it's a great mixture of the band as if they're in the nightmare.
Yeah.
With Freddy Krueger and Patricia Arquette, this was Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Yep.
Dream Warriors.
And she was in that. She was the girl being terrorized, as Freddy Krueger liked to terrorize those young ladies.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. And did you? I don't know if I might have missed it because you just caught me off guard, and I was just rethinking the whole video. It's the introduction to Mr. Scary, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Mr. Scary made his first appearance. Really weird visual effects in the guitar solo for George Lynch with Mr. Scary coming to life, right?
Well, that was burning like a flame.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah. But this was the first video that they did where he had that guitar, which was just awesome.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Good call, Kevin. Good movie, too. Music for the playlist, but we gave some movie choices.
Yep.
Do you like that Dream Warriors movie better or Trick or Treat? That's a would you rather.
I would say probably Trick or Treat.
I know, me too. Yeah.
Just because of the whole theme for the movie.
It feels different.
all the Fastway tunes are just awesome in that movie.
Yeah. And it really, to me, Trick or Treat embraces the music. Like, it really is a heavy metal Halloween movie about music.
Yeah. I mean, you get Dream Warriors as in the end credits, and I think maybe there's a snippet one other place, but yeah, that was written for that movie. But
yeah,
Trick or Treat for sure.
Good call. Did you see that the Foo Fighters are on hiatus?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes. And
very sad.
It's sad. I don't know if it's. I guess he wants to distance himself from the whole mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, and maybe he
needed some time
dealing with some personal stuff. But
you guys moved on too fast. I think you guys forgot a couple.
Can I touch on a Foo?
No, I just was like, I was just in the mode I'm thinking of other bands and stuff, and Foo Fighters just popped in my mind. I don't know why, but then that's what made the hiatus. So that was my scattered ADD way of bouncing to that topic. So I'm sorry.
I just saw this thing on Kurt Cobain. The guy just released all this stuff of this detective work he's been doing, and they essentially have figured out how Kurt died, who was in the house during the process.
Oh, really?
The whole backstory about, having the hotshot ready and attacking him when he came back from the rehab, I guess, treatment place. It was really, maybe I'll put it in the comments and I'll send you guys the thing. Maybe we can talk about it next show.
Yeah, I'd love
It's
to.
really fascinating.
Yeah, sure.
Was Courtney in the house?
No, Courtney was out of state. It was the two male babysitters, which I thought was weird. And then they had two female babysitters in case the CPS came.
Oh.
But these two guys that were there that were friends with him, allegedly attacked him and kind of knocked him out, and then took him to the greenhouse and gave him the hot shot. And he went into breaking down about how the shotgun was laid, and because the whole shotgun thing and where the shell went and the hand holding it and the blood from the ears and then being post-mortem and everything. Yeah. He really dives into it and breaks it down well. And so he's trying to get one more person that was there to come officially on the record, and they're possibly going to reopen it.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's good stuff. No, we do need to talk about that next time. Yeah, for sure. And hold on, we didn't get back to Halloween though.
Yeah, what did we forget?
Jeff Salisbury's chomping
So
at the bit.
because this one I'm surprised Kevin didn't bring up. Holy Diver.
I
Dio.
thought about it. I did.
Yeah.
I had it in the mix.
Yeah.
But there's two. I even have videos to go with it because I had John working diligently behind the scenes. Dead Man's Party. Boingo Boingo.
Yeah. Look at that. Look at you when you dove deep on that one.
Yeah. I mean, so many movies had that in the soundtrack from the 80s. It just makes me think of it. And then the other one is Party Time from the Return of the Living Dead soundtrack.
Yeah.
So that was definitely Halloween.
So
they're a little off the beaten path from where you guys are going, but just I remember the 80s and everything was like my teenage years was all horror movies. And,
sure.
Just those songs popped into my head from those soundtracks.
So there was almost some admissions that I feel like I made because I thought that you guys were going to bring them up, and one of them was a Megadeth song. So like I intentionally avoided the Megadeth because I thought Megadeth, and you brought up the Dio. I thought that you were going to do Megadeth and Dio.
Which one?
I don't know. I was going to go with Set the World Afire.
Okay. Because I had She-Wolf.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What was the movie that he was in with Chucky? Did Megadeth do soundtrack for one of the Chucky movies?
They did No More Mr. Nice Guy.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Shocker.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And then for you, Lou, I was thinking, because I know how much of a Ramones fan you are.
Yep.
Pet Cemetery.
Yep. That was a good one.
I dodged that one on purpose too. That was on my radar, and I was like, "Oh, Lou's going to bring that up, so I'll just let him have that one." And so I held off of that. Because of course that was another bitchin' kind of Stephen King adaptation.
Dude, the 80s were beautiful for anybody who loved horror and metal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Halloween is just a great festival party. It's not like, I know you're not a fan of Christmas.
Yeah.
But
I do like
I don't know
Halloween
many people that are opposed to Halloween.
Yeah. Well, when we were doing our Christmas playlists, I feel like it was much harder to come up, at least with a long list of Christmas metal songs and hard rock songs. This was keeping it short. This was the opposite problem.
Right.
So you're right. The holiday and this style of music is just born to go together. So hopefully, I don't know, if you're listening, you can make comments, in any of the videos or the excerpts or the reels that we put out regarding this, and love to hear your choices for a playlist. And, there's a lot of great ones out there.
Yeah. And while you're commenting, you should go to shop.standupandrack.
Shopstandupandshout.com. Yes. Shop
and pick up a t-shirt.
Exactly. Because the logo does also match Halloween.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
And created by Kevin's daughter.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Oh, First Friday. We're supposed to mention First Friday. We just got the cue to do that. We talked about that a little bit in the beginning, but First Friday in Manassas is tomorrow, and we're excited to see Junk Food tomorrow. We'll be down at Sinestro. We'll also be swinging by the Wylde Style table or the Salisbury Center table, both one and the same. You'll be lucky enough to get there. You can find yourself with a Stand Up and Shout Rock Show sticker, along with those wonderful shirts that are for sale.
That's right. Come out. We're going to be there. Buy us a drink. Or just say hi.
Either way, you'll get a sticker.
Is this a Wild Style Network field trip that Papa Jeff has to pay for? Is that what it is?
Hey, last time we were out there, Scott bought a round of shots.
Scott always does. He's good for that.
Is he? I was stunned by that. Yeah, he was very excited.
Yeah, so then he can't get yelled at for doing them.
I was driving that night. So Jake did mine.
That's right. You handed it to your son.
Cool.
Good job, Dad.
Thanks. Yeah, so I guess the last thing, I know there's we've talked about this a couple of times, but there's some other other than Dirty Honey.
Yeah.
Next weekend.
Yes.
There's some other shows coming up locally. Mm-hmm. October the 18th, the Bret Michaels Band is performing at Ion International Training Center in Leesburg.
Sure.
The ice rink there.
Yeah, it was Stephen Piercy.
It's
my understanding that he's not doing all of Out of the Cellar any longer, that he is mixing up the set list. Yeah.
Okay. Well, and traditionally, the Party Gras shows, they kind of go back and forth.
Sure.
So yeah, I was curious how much of that he may do.
Yep. That's what I was reading, that really that kind of piece has ended for him, and he's mixing up the Rat songs that they will be doing.
Cool. Yeah. And then Gavin Evick Band is also performing with them that night.
Yep.
And then again, January the 11th, Ladders to Recovery Benefit. It's a great show. So it's Bob Parre and Brian Damage from Kicks with Brad Divins and Shannon Larkin, previously of Wrathchild America, Souls at Zero. And obviously Shannon moved on and spent some time with Godsmack. So they're all getting together. They're playing at the Maryland Theater in Hagerstown, Maryland, and it's a tribute to all of their favorite bands. They're doing all covers.
Right.
So, those of you that remember those bands, want to check those guys out, it's a great opportunity to raise some funds for a good cause that all those guys support.
They'll have to do a Rush tune.
Oh, no doubt.
There's at least one Rush song in that set list.
Absolutely.
You got 2/3 of the Sundogs there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that'll happen.
There's also another one that I can't announce officially, but unofficially, January 4th, we're going to have a fun party here on January 4th at Salisbury Center.
All right.
People could probably noodle out what it might be, but the announcement has not become official yet.
An annual fun party?
Could be.
All right. Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah.
All righty.
Nothing but a good time. And that's, if you need something to watch in between,
Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat, exactly.
I thought you were going to say old stand-up shout shows on YouTube.
You could.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You could certainly go check all those out.
Uh-huh. I wonder what our Halloween conversation
Have one?
I'm sure we talked about it in some way, shape. I don't know if we did like a countdown of songs, but we had some Halloween references in there somewhere, I'm sure.
I don't remember.
I give him neither. I said I wonder. I started out by not remembering.
Right.
I feel you.
Now I guess I got to go check it out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, and we'll see you